tolerating? Or put another way, what are you putting up with? Now, this is an important question, especially for those of us who have big dreams, big plans, big ambitions to do the things in life that we love. And interestingly, I've had a really interesting week. You know, I've heard from friends, I've spoken to clients, I've heard a lot of things where people have wanted to do something, wanted to make a change, wanted to make something different, yet have felt like they can't. So the subject of this week's Monday Motivation is, what are you tolerating? What are you putting up with? But the aim of the motivation is in motivating you forward into doing, you know, the things that you know you want to do. You've maybe been planning or thinking about doing for a really long time. So, as usual, you might see me look down like this or to the side. I've written a couple of notes as in preparation for doing this, as always. I notice my board's a bit wonky behind me, so this is the bit where I'll slide it to one side and then end up crashing the whole thing. That's better. Look at that. You can see that now. So, yes, what are you putting up with? What are you tolerating? I was sent this lovely card from a friend of mine over a year ago, which I still keep to this day. Can you see that? Explore, dream, and discover. So for many of us, if we want to explore, we want to dream, we want to discover things in our life, what we have to do, what we need to do, is to work out how to get them, right? Actually wrong. I remember, and this is going back 23 years ago now, some friends of mine wanted to travel, a group of us, you know, we wanted to travel, and a couple of the friends had made their mind up. They're definitely going to travel, they're definitely going to go to this place. A couple of friends had said, oh no, I don't think I can do it. I was really interested, I was quite intrigued by doing it, I really wanted to do it, but I wasn't sure whether I could or not. And I got into that space of seeing the opportunity, seeing the possibility, and wanting to reach out and go and do this thing. However, that little nagging voice inside me just said, who am I to do it? How can I do it? You know, how is it going to happen? And in that moment, at that particular time, I stopped myself, only temporarily. And often people talk about having goals, making plans and moving forward, and how we stop ourselves. And we sometimes think it's about the things we do or the things we don't. So interestingly, there are just 3 things that I'm going to share with you this morning. 3 questions to ask yourself, because this might be the way that you are putting up with something or tolerating something. So my first question to you is this, and I told you I'd written some stuff down, so I will look down. First question is this: is there a conversation that you need to have that you're avoiding right now? Okay, so think about something that you want. Maybe it is a dream, maybe it's something to explore, maybe it's something to discover, maybe it's a plan for something you want. Okay, and I invite you to think about that one thing. Now, just a word of warning, this is about Monday motivation, not Monday demotivation. So sometimes people think so big and so huge and so out there, and they forget that sometimes the road or the journey is made of steps. Okay, so dream big, dream out there, but remember the smaller steps that you have to take, and remember the smaller steps that you might, you might stumble across. There might be things along the way that you're putting up with. So, question number 1. Is there anybody that you need to have a conversation with and you're avoiding having that conversation with them right now? Okay, and this is like wearing the filter, wearing the glasses of tolerating, putting up with something. Now, there's 2 ways to answer this question. You can look at the conversations externally that you need to have with other people. It might be at work, you know, it might be at home, it might be within your family, it might be within areas of your business, especially if you run your own business. But if not, it might be at work, it might be with your team, you know. And then the other person to have the conversation with, you know, find out what you're avoiding talking about right now, is yourself. Now, before you start sort of like striking me off and saying I'm a nutcase and, you know, I don't have conversations with myself, I never speak to myself. Think about it, you know, maybe you go out one night and you know you should be getting home and this little voice says to you, you know what, it's time to go, it's quite late, you've got to get up early tomorrow. Well, if that's not talking to yourself, I don't know what isn't. So, which conversation are you avoiding having with yourself right now? What is it that you're putting off and you're tolerating there? Something that you need to think about, need to process and think, you know what? I need to get real with myself. So what conversations are you avoiding with other people right now, and what conversations are you avoiding with yourself right now? So that's the first question. Second question is, what are you pretending not to know? One of the biggest ways that enable us to put up with something, enable us to tolerate something, is that we know deep down that there's something for us to do, but we pretend not to know. So what is that? And if you haven't already, I really suggest you grab pen and paper and just write down. If you journal, write down in your journal. If not, get a notebook, get a back of an envelope, get a scrap of paper, and just write down the answers to those questions. Okay? So what are you pretending not to know? This is like an enabler to help us, you know, tolerate the thing that we don't actually want. And before I come on to the third question, I'm just going to go back to all those years ago when my friends wanted to go travelling and I was kind of sitting on the fence. I kind of knew I wanted it, but kept making reasons why I couldn't. Unbeknown to me back then, I went through a similar process. I asked myself these questions, you know, what conversations do I need to have with other people? What conversations do I need to have with myself? Very quickly, I came up with some answers, and those answers became the stepping stones that allowed me to get closer to the thing I wanted. And, you know, what am I pretending not to know about this? Well, it was to go travelling for a few months. You know, if it wasn't something I wanted to do for the rest of my life, I could always come back. You know, as I was going for a few months, I could make arrangements for when I came back, and I could also say, but I might not come back. And in doing that, it somehow releases something within you to help you see the possibility, to help you see the goal. And on the 26th of June, I'm trying to think what year that would have been, on the 26th of June, 1993, I went off and I did the travelling with the friends, had a whale of a time, came back afterwards, and subsequently went and did some more travelling. Now, if you're saying, but I've got a serious job and, you know, I can't make these fickle decisions, there'll be little elements by asking yourself those questions that will really help you to get close to where you want to be. So whether it's a big strategy that you are in charge of at work, whether you're a part of a team of people that help to make things happen. You know, that expression about if you don't know, you know, if you think you have to be kind of like this big personality, and I'm paraphrasing, but and I'll post it under this video so that when you watch it or in the blog, if you're reading it on the blog, that you can just reread it. But you know how effective a mosquito is in the dark? Doesn't have to be big, doesn't have to be huge, it can make a big difference. So whether it's something that you feel that you are in control of, or whether you're part of another team, you certainly have the skills and the wherewithal to be able to make those changes. So my third question is, what aren't you being honest about with yourself? What aren't you being honest about with yourself? In order to put up with something, to tolerate something, we often have to like almost lie to ourselves or hide to ourselves how we really feel about something, someone, a situation, something that we want to do. So asking yourself, what you're not being honest about will give you insight into where to look next, where to make that next step. And on the other side of that, once you've asked yourself these questions, then describe the perfect outcome. Even if you have no way of knowing, no possibility of getting out there or doing the thing that you want, or so you think, describe that outcome. So I'm going to leave this week's Monday motivation with something from one of my favourite books, U Squared, by Price Pritchett. And Price Pritchett says, focus on the ends rather than the means. And I'll hold the book up so I'm not looking down and you're not seeing the top of my head as we leave. So you didn't have to know where you're going to get there, but you do need to know where you want to go. It's crucial to have a crystal clear picture of what you want to accomplish. Operate with a sharp, defined mental image in the outcome that you seek, and then rivet your attention on that spot where you're to land at the end of your quantum leap. Visualize your arrival. And when you do that, it's like you magnetize yourself to the ways and means involved in the methodology for getting there. The solutions begin to appear and answers come to you. So if you start worrying about everything that you'll be involved in and getting from here to there, you're bound to bog down in the questions about methodology. Perhaps you always get hung up with the how-to aspects, especially regarding a quantum leap. So the key is not to get in the way. The key is to ask yourself on a regular basis, and I invite you on this Monday to open up and explore the possibilities by asking yourself, what am I putting up with? What am I tolerating? Write it down, and I recommend that you do this not only just a few times throughout today, but do it for the next week. Because although this is a Monday motivation, I'm really here to motivate your day and your week. So what are you putting up with? What are you tolerating? Come back and let me know. And I remember to put the quote underneath there. So just once again, I know that some of you will want to know, the book that I read from was Price Pritchett U Squared. And it's not even, for those of you that don't have time to read books, look at that, it's not even a big thick book. So sending you lots and lots of good juicy vibes on your Monday, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.